Welcome back to the Buzz Center. My name is Phyllis Arthur, and we're here today with Dr. Robin Robinson, who's the director of BARDA, a part of HHS. We're going to be discussing the medical countermeasures industry. Robin, thanks for interviewing with us today.
Thank you, Phyllis. It's always my pleasure to be here with you and good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So my first question, Robin, is BARDA's actually published a new strategic plan. And I want to what can you tell us about this new strategic plan and why industry should be responding to it?
So our strategic plan for BARDA, which is a statutory requirement from the Pandemic and All Hazard Preparedness Act of 2006, came out in 2011. The FMC, or the Enterprise Strategic and Implementation Plan, was published in 2012. They will look very, very similar, okay? But there are three major things that are a little different than in the past. And they're really the result of the measures of the medical countermeasure review that Secretary Sebelius sent forth in 2010 and the results that we're seeing now. And the first one is that BARDA will maintain a robust development pipeline. We have about 130 different product candidates for CBRN and pandemic influenza medical countermeasures. Keeping that with good product candidates is really important. Secondly is that through public-private partnerships and providing core service assistance to our developers of medical countermeasures is really the way that they can be successful best. Money alone is not it. We need to provide technical, regulatory, clinical, animal studies testing, and with our new Centers for Innovation and Advanced Development and Manufacturing, the actual ability to develop and manufacture clinical investigation lots and commercial scale lots of vaccine, so that at any point in the entire development process where there may be problems, we may be able to offer assistance. And lastly is the move from the paradigm that we're also very familiar with when we started Project BioShield, which was one bug, one drug paradigm, where it was very applicable for smallpox, very applicable for anthrax, maybe even botulinum. But now we're into a stage of our development where we're looking at other products for radiological and nuclear threats and chemical threats that may actually have commercial indications. And so if we can repurpose or have products that have multiple purposes, especially for commercial indications, then they're much more sustainable in the long run and have lower life cycle cost.
Excellent. So the enabling legislation you mentioned, which was PAPA, really actually had a lot of really great provisions in it. Can you talk a little bit about how that will help in the public-private partnerships?
Sure. You know, PAPA was the brainchild of a number of people, including its author, Senator Burr from North Carolina. It was actually, for BARDA to be created in PAPA, was to address one of the shortfalls of Project BioShield, where we thought that if we brought the money together, which was $5.6 billion in 2004, that everyone would come. Well, they didn't. And then when they did come, they needed assistance through advanced development. And that was the rectifying principle of creating BARDA, and that's what we do on a daily basis. As we go forward with the Pandemic and All Hazards Reauthorization Act, we will carry forward now with some of the principles I just talked about, and to actually be able to provide those core service assistance. In addition, what was not in PAPA but we had experienced in 2009 is that BARDA actually has a response role, and we saw that with the H1N1 2009 pandemic, and right now we're working with the other agencies in HHS preparing for an H7N9 vaccine, and if needed, maybe going forward with a larger campaign for manufacturing vaccines. So we actually do more than just preparedness. We really do preparedness and responses, which is what we are a component of, the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response.
Excellent. So why should companies with promising new technologies come and work with BARDA?
Well, for one thing, that we actually have statistics now to show that the timeline to licensure and the amount of money that is actually required and the expertise and services that we can bring actually make their return of investment, which is really good news to their shareholders, less. And that's much faster than actually many other products. And that's, you know, it's been seen with the licensure of our two Project BioShield products, Raxibacumab for anthrax antitoxin, and the HBAT product from Cangene for botulinum antitoxin. And that's now being able to be replicated, and we can even do better with really the great business practices that the ASPR and others across the enterprise have employed.
So Robin, what has been accomplished with BioShield over the last few years, and what do you think the next 5 years will bring?
Good question. After a really tough start to begin with in 2004, which the taxpayers didn't lose very much money on that, as opposed to what some people have said. Actually, by the end of September this year, we will have introduced 11 new products to the Strategic National Stockpile under Project BioShield that didn't exist in 2004. They may be from smallpox to anthrax to botulinum to rad and new threats and chemical antidotes for chemical threats. And so that's in 9 years. Over the next 5 years, though, we look to provide about 12 new products that we have actually nurtured through with our advanced development at BARDA in half the time and in half the money. And so the seeds that we planted under Project BioShield through BARDA actually are now really starting to grow well, and that will be taken harvested and overall making the country much more prepared.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you next time in the Buzz Center.